it was important to show. I mean, he was very efficient on short and intermediate throws. I think what was it? You have his final stat line
He was
in front of
21
you.
to 27, I think. The
21 to
quarterbacks,
27.
I think
21
so.
to 27.
The quarterbacks together were 23 of 32 for 163.
Right. And so he was very, very efficient on passes under 10 yards.
He was. Yeah, he was. He understands that stuff. I'm kidding. What Kate ought to do is stay after practice and just practice play passing. Hey, receivers, give me 10 minutes after practice. I want to throw 10 digs. I want to throw 10 corner routes, and I want to throw 10 posts. Okay? Just give me a few minutes and just practice them and come off the fake, practice making those throws, pretending you got a rush in front of you, and I promise you he'll get better because he's good on the underneath stuff. He understands the quick release time passing game pretty darn well.
Yeah, but the passes over 10 yards, he was 1 for 6. And that's a recurring theme. And so now 7 games into the season, and we've had this discussion over and over again. While we've seen progress with the downfield throws, it's fair to say that progress has been slow. That if there's an expectation for significant improvement, if you haven't seen, big steps after 7 games, got to say it's probably the case that, major improvement comes in the offseason. That you hope for modest improvement at this point in season because there were some more plays left on the field. And so let's get into the deep shot sequences. And we're only going to focus on a few in this game. The first one was one where you might recall Jim Harbaugh saying after the game, yeah, I think we kind of forced it a little bit with the deep shots. I think some people, Al, thought that they were talking about from a play call perspective because Jim said, hey, they had 2 safeties back. We kind of tried to force it a little bit. Sounded like maybe people thought he was saying wrong call. I think what he was saying was in some instances, you got to take the check down. And this was one of those instances, Al, because they ran back-to-back deep shots. And it was thrown deep both times and probably shouldn't have been thrown deep both times. So let's look at the first one right here. I'll bring it up for you and share it on the screen here. All right, Al. So here we have it. This is the first deep shot of the game for Michigan, right?
Yep.
All right. And so on this play, it looked like he just made a decision. I'm gonna go for the gusto on this one.
Yeah. This a play. We ran this play when I was there. We call this smash pump. Okay, smash pump, and we did it off play pass, just like they're doing it. Means the inside receiver is going to try and double move that safety. You're trying to exploit that receiver safety matchup. Well, this guy's so soft. Okay, he just doesn't take the bait. All right, but the good news is the corner ascends so far back. You can see him on the screen. You can see him as soon as he catches Cade's aerial, he sees the wings going right to the post. So he's going to ascend underneath that. The safety's not going to take the double move, and they're leaving the smash route all by itself. I mean, it is completely uncovered. So if he just turns, resets, and bangs that smash right now, he's going to run forever.
I mean, this is super soft.
Right. But, yeah, you got to understand that because we call a shot, your eyes don't have to get like saucers and say, oh, I'm throwing this come hell or high water. This is what the NFL quarterbacks are so good. Guys like Drew Brees were so good at it. If you gave it to him, he's taking it. But if you didn't, he knew right where to go with the ball. And in this instance, you can see there's so much real estate between the smash route and the next defender that, I'd like to invest in that. Okay.
Yeah, it would have been a first down and likely some real good yak on that.
It'd be a huge piece of yardage. So, you take a shot, doesn't mean, sometimes the shot equals a check down. Sometimes a shot means a touchdown. But you got to go into the play knowing that every play, Sam, is a different adventure and will have different reactions from the defense. So you got a clue, but don't lock in.
And so, trying to get in Gaddis's head. I'm not a play caller. You can get into his head better than me, but he went right back to the well because I can only imagine he looked at it, man. We had a guy wide open on that play.
Mhm.
If they do something like that again, take it underneath.
Yeah.
Take the check down. Otherwise, if they give us a big bite, then take it. And so he called a deep shot the very next play. I can't remember the last time
And that
Michigan
may
caught
be
back to back.
why he did it, Sam. That may be what he probably did. I'm just guessing. I haven't talked to him, but he says we have a tendency every time we take a shot, the next
Second
play is a
down.
running play. He says we're going to do something different. We're going to take 2 shots in a row. We've never done that. We've never done that. So I think what he's trying to do here is probably just break a tendency, thinking that the defense is going to think that way. You know what I mean? They're going to say, hey, they're not going to take 2 shots in a row. No way. And so he comes back, he runs a flood route, and the post cut has nothing but field to run to. You can see the inside receivers run into the corner. The post area is wide open, okay? Single coverage, and the receiver has inside position on the corner. Okay, now how do you throw that ball? You throw the guy open. What's the toughest thing to defend? The toughest thing to defend is the width and depth of the field. Make him run all that way and be able to defend deep. And he can't do it. If the ball's thrown to the outside third of the field where he's got to run to get this football rather than throw that ball, this is one where you don't want to put the ball on top of his head. This is why passing is an art, because it's always a little different, okay? Make him run to get that ball, make that defender go as far as he possibly can to get that ball, give him a great look at it, and make sure he can touch it.
Right. So I want to seize upon this because, again, this narrative that receivers aren't getting open, he was thrown into the defender on this play.
Right.
Cornelius Johnson is open here. He was thrown into the defender. I'm not offering this as a critique of Cade McNamara as much as I am offering it as a critique of the commentary about this play and others like it. The post is open to the field.
Right.
If he throws him this way, he's running away from the defender. But he threw him this way and ran him into the defender. So you killed the separation he would have had on this play was eaten up by the throw.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's the coverage. If there was a defender in the outside third of the field, this probably shouldn't even be. If there's a defender in the outside third of the field, probably shouldn't even have been thrown, right? But there is no defender there. So use that area they're not defending. You understand? You got to see that. You don't want to necessarily throw this ball right at the post area if the coverage doesn't dictate you should.
Right. And so another one that is worthy of note, another shot, because Jim made it a point to say that now look, they're keeping safeties back. There just aren't as many shots available in this game as there were in others. The deep shots just weren't there. Because Al, Nebraska and Wisconsin, especially, it was shot after shot. Those teams were daring Michigan to throw deep. Northwestern, on the other hand, was like, no, don't. We'll play everything underneath. We'll see if you can dink and dunk us. We'll see if you can run it down our throats, which Michigan could. We aren't going to let you just take all those shots that you took in those other games that they missed, which I don't understand, Al. We know that Michigan can run the freaking football. If I'm going to take my chances, I'm going to take my chances with seeing if they can complete some of the passes they haven't been completing.
Well, you know what they did? Okay, this is what, if you broke down Northwestern's defense, and I looked back at the video and just watched Northwestern, what did they do? And I told you about the returns and some of the other stuff. But what they did is they mixed it, Sam. They were playing tight quarters coverage when you condense your formations more, okay? They were trying to make it as hard as you possibly. They were blitzing the safety sometimes. And on those plays, if you had them timed right, you may get a shot on them.
Mm-hmm.
But they were mixing it with pressures from the field and from the inside where they were playing with a middle safety, where those shots didn't look quite as good. So it was it's not what you call, it's when you call it, right, Sam? I'll say it again. It's not what you call, it's when you call it. If you can dial one up when that safety coverage is tight, you have a great chance to hit a shot.
Well, here's one that was called at the right time. This sort of stalk, block, and go. with the tight end. You know, every shot isn't to a receiver, to a wide receiver, I should say. You know, sometimes the shot is to a tight end. And Luke Schoonmaker can run, Al. Like he's a fast tight end. And so here's another shot, Mr. Borges, as I bring it up on the screen. And I remember saying during the game, I even tweeted this one, so might as well say it here too. I said, you got to hit these.
Yeah,
I mean, this one is more open than the post.
Yeah, this is a drop it on your hat throw. This was a little different now. This is a little different. And again, when you dial it up, I'll show you my assessment of the play for what it's worth. Okay, because I thought Schoonmaker did a great job of selling
the community. Hope you check it out.
Okay, he made him believe he was going to try and block him. Now, the action is pistol stretch pass. They're trying to make it look as though they're running a stretch back in behind that wing. Now, if you could do it again, Sam, but pause it once he connects, he starts to connect on the fake.
Okay.
There. Okay, right. Perfect. Okay, now everything in the on the back end here in terms of the connection point with the back, it should look like stretch. Okay, it looks like a stretch play, and they're trying to make that corner believe they're running a stretch at him. So Ty is coming off and simulating like he's going to block him, and all he wants to do, Sam, is get him to freeze his feet. He doesn't have to get a huge bite. He's just got to freeze his feet so he can blow by him. Again, this is personnel. He's doing that. He's probably the only tight end they'd have do that because he can run a little bit. Okay. Now, once he freezes his feet, he's going to blow by him. You come off the fake, you see the separation and drop the ball over the top right on his head. Don't throw it, don't throw it over his head, and don't throw it so short he can't do something with it. Okay. To leave it a little short, he might be able to do something with that. But this just allows the defender to make the play. And you got to give the guy a chance to make the play. So he goes right by him. But then the ball's way underthrown, and the defender comes back and he's high-fiving and doing. But to be the truth be told, he was given a break, okay?
Yeah,
because he's beat.
Yeah.
His DB coach right now is telling him, he goes, "Hey, you were lucky."
Yeah, got beat like a drum. You got to be, if he lead this, Luke Schoonmaker runs well enough that could have been a touchdown.
Oh,
he runs well enough for that. I mean, at least he's in the red zone, probably inside the 10.
Right.
With that ball.
Right.
And
just drop it on top of his head. Give him a good look at the ball. Great protection. It's clear and sunny day. Everything you want is right in front of you. Great protection. He fooled him on the route. He's open. He burst by him. Now the table's set. Let's eat.
So here's the thing. I think that people who offer criticism of Cade, like he does nothing well, aren't being fair. I mean, you look at the numbers, Al. It was a very efficient game for Cade McNamara. You gave the numbers 21 and 27. I mean, that says it all. Short and intermediate. Mm-hmm. And so if you lay out the things that probably give them security and confidence in him from a coaching perspective, it's that, like you said, mm-hmm. He's accurate, short and intermediate. He knows the offense. He's a leader on an offense. Remember, heading into the season, I mean, this was a unit devoid of a ton of leadership. You got Ronnie Bell, but besides Ronnie Bell, I mean, who was really established as a leader? I mean, Vistardis comes back and he gets voted a captain, but there aren't a lot of them. And so Cade McNamara is one of your leaders on the team, and you make this point all the time out. He takes care of the football. So let's lay those things out again. He's accurate, short, and intermediate. He knows the offense. He is a leader, and he takes care of the football. And hey, by the way, they've written that to 7-0. These are things that you don't want to upset. Mm-hmm. But Al Borges, there are elements offensively that are there that people don't realize. They keep saying, "Oh well, their receivers aren't open." And I mean, what's wrong with the play calling? Nothing's wrong with the play calling. Nothing's wrong with the play calling. I mean, it with the exception. Look, I guess you shouldn't speak in absolutes. Nothing's wrong from the play call with the play calling from the standpoint of Al. That's not what's limiting the offense. That's what I mean when
Yeah,
I say there's nothing wrong with the play call.
the sum total of the play calling is not the issue. It is not. We
Yeah.
all swing and miss. Babe Ruth struck out more than
Yeah.
anybody. You know,
I mean, we could talk about some red zone, want more touchdowns in the red zone. We could go over the red zone series where they stalled in the first half, the 2 red zone series. We could talk about those. We could talk about maybe some more outside run plays and their outside run game needing more honing. But those are not the issues that are limiting the offense the most. The inability to connect consistently down the football field is the biggest factor limiting the offense, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater, Al, but how then do you realize more of those opportunities is, I think, to your phrase, the $64,000 question for this coaching staff.
Yeah, the one number that hasn't been talked about, okay, that I think bears out probably what you're saying as much as anything is, he was 21, I think, for 27. Did we say?
Mm-hmm.
But the average per attempt, now that's huge, but only football connoisseurs appreciate it, okay? The average per attempt for a good quarterback, a quarterback who can make all the throws, the short ones, the deep ones, should be 8 or better, okay? Should be 8 or better. My first year at Auburn, Jason Campbell was over 10 yards an attempt, which is off the charts. Matt Leinart won the Heisman Trophy. He was 8.8, okay? Our average per attempt in this game was 5.09, okay? So that tells you, are you getting the yards off your passing game that you need to supplement your running game, okay? Now, in this game, it didn't hurt you. It didn't hurt you because, rushed for 300 yards, got some turnovers, some timely turnovers, played pretty salty, and didn't play bad offensively overall. But that's got to get better. And whether it means using JJ more, which I'm sure you're probably going to bring up too, or doing whatever, that can't be 5 yards a game. It's got to be better than that against better teams.
Right. And so that's why I say it's not. See, you don't have to deal in absolutes because I think you're not being fair to Cade McNamara if you aren't highlighting the positives that he clearly brings to the table. He is a factor. He is a component in them being 7-0, but being 8-0, 9-0, 10-0, 11-0. Are there other ways to unlock the potential of the offense without disrupting what he brings to the table too? And I think there are. I think it's JJ McCarthy, not JJ McCarthy as a starter. Right? That's because, I mean, he doesn't have the experience. So you can make the argument that you want him to get his growing pains and all of that, but you got some things established with Cade McNamara already. So can you bring some more complementary skills from JJ into the equation, not just as a runner? I mean, he has a good arm and some decent touch down the field. So if you have a menu of shot plays, Mr. Borges, let's say, and I'm just throwing out a number saying you're calling 10 shot plays a game. I don't know if they have a number. Let's just throw it out there, arbitrary number, 10. Then maybe now you say JJ's going to get a couple shots. And instead of a play or two at a time here, he'll get a few plays at a time in the game. Maybe he gets a series. That's a complementary role too. That's not replacement. You got to think that Cade has to feel secure in his position as the starter at this point, right? They have shown absolute faith. They are clearly not trying to take him out. They are sort of supporting him as a leader. He is the guy, but they are missing some things right now. Look at the last 3 games, Al. I want to say at least 2 touchdowns. At least 2 touchdowns have been left on the field in the last 3 games alone. I think that this is one of the ways that they can try to realize more of that potential without upsetting the apple cart.